All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. We are monitoring a tornado warning now for northern portions of Parker County. Make sure that scroll works. Obviously, we've got warnings. We've got a possible tornado now located approximately about, let's just say about 9 miles southwest of Springtown, probably about 5 miles southwest of Agnes in eastern Parker County, and the result of this is going to be a tornado warning for northern Parker County and southern Wise counties until 5:30 a.m. this morning. You can see that circulation showing up much more clearly here now that we've actually switched to the correct radar. And again, this is going to be a tornado warning until 5:30 a.m. for northern Parker and southern Wise counties. Let's be very clear here. I know plenty of people are getting their butts woken up right now. Let's be clear who's in and who's out. This is a small tornado warning that does not include a majority of both of these counties. But regardless, we do have a line of severe thunderstorms coming on in with the potential for strong straight line winds up to 65 miles an hour in spots, along with the potential for pocket change size hail and possibly a brief tornado, in this case near Agnes, or Angs, moving northeast towards Angs, Springtown, Boyd, and Fairview. Now, I'm going to do real quick is obviously I want to get rid of some of these icons because we don't need 50 trillion icons popping up everywhere. My apologies, I'm taking care of some housekeeping here, but again, we do have a tornado warning until 5:30 a.m. for northern Parker and southeastern Wise counties. This is in North Texas, and again, this isn't going to be a widespread issue this morning, I don't believe, but we are going to be watching for the potential of spin-up tornadoes. And again, these storms are going to be moving east-northeast at about 50 miles an hour. This whole line here has pockets of enhanced damaging wind. For example, here down in Hood County, that thing's actually bowing out pretty well right now. We've got damaging straight line winds being indicated of up to 70 miles an hour. Just north of Tolar and Hood County, this is going to be moving up towards Granbury at about 50 to 60 miles an hour. So again, this is one of these little morning things that's honestly being a little bit of an overperformer, at least right now. And so we're going to have to keep an eye on it. We've actually got the potential for 2 tornadoes right now in northern Parker County, moving towards southern Wise County. That's going to be now just east of Joplin, southeast of Joplin, about to cross over Highway 199 between Springtown and Joplin. So if you're in Springtown, Agnes, up to Boyd, and honestly, at this point, I'd say up to Paradise, it would be a good idea for you to be in your safe place. That's going to be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You don't bother going outside looking for this thing. If we do have a tornado down, it's probably going to be one of these quick spin-ups, heavily wrapped in rain. If we don't have a tornado down, we definitely are going to have straight line winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour. And this is going to be for the circulation moving northeast into southern Wise County. We are live streaming on a majority of the social media platforms y'all probably are using. We're live on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. In fact, we're on multiple platforms on YouTube. I'm going to reset this radar program real quick. It's being a bit wonky, but again, we're here for a tornado warning in northern Parker and southern Wise counties, and this is going to be until 5:30 a.m. Probably are not going to be dealing with too many tornado warnings this morning, but again, we're here. And we're just going to be talking you through it. Again, this isn't a situation where I think we're going to have tornadoes that are down for long durations of time, producing high-end tornado damage, but you need to respect the fact we do have a tornado warning for northern Parker and southern Wise County, including Springtown, Boyd, Agnes, Anges, or Agnes. I'm probably saying it wrong, but you know what? I always say something wrong. It's just a matter of me and talking, unfortunately. regulars are going to be used to it. Those who just joined us and want to make fun of me, go ahead. I'm bald. I know. It's okay. I have thick skin. So what I'm trying to do right now is trying to clean this up a bit so we don't have a whole lot of... There we go. I don't need that. I don't need that. But what we're dealing with is this little circulation coming up to 199 between Springtown and Joplin. And again, looking for debris at this point. We don't see any. But even if we don't have a tornado down, we certainly do have the potential for winds over 70 miles an hour, and that's certainly capable of producing tornado-like damage in spots. So those of you in northern Parker County, southern Wise County, be in your safe places. This does include Springtown, Boyd, just south of Paradise, Poolville, Springtown, Briar, Reno, Boyd, Pester, Adel, Advance, Condale, Keeter, Sanctuary, Highland, Addition. Y'all need to be in a safe place. That'll be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And again, I don't think this is going to be a long-term issue. We're not going to be dealing with too many tornadoes this morning, I don't believe, but we are going to be dealing with some severe storms. For what it's worth, we are starting to see a bit of a circulation spin up here in Hood County. This is going to be north of Tolar, northwest of Granbury. Should stay north of Granbury. And this is going to be moving up towards far southeastern Parker and southwestern Tarrant counties. Netta, Aledo, Benbrook, etc. If this were to spin up, this might need a tornado warning, regardless of if it becomes a tornadic circulation or is just producing pockets of straight-line winds. Radar is estimating we could have winds over 70 miles an hour in spots, and that's certainly enough to produce some tornado-like damage. So that is why we have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for that storm. And then the tornado warning for portions of northern Parker County. These are not supercellular per se, but we're dealing with some embedded line circulations. Some of these, these little spin-ups that can make a grown man cry at times. It can pop up really quickly. And I do think we have a bit of a circulation popping up here in Hood County as well. So again, we're going to cover both of these. This is going to be probably about 6 miles northwest of Granbury. You can see the radar detecting winds of about 80 miles an hour. And for what it's worth, the radar is not looking all that far above the ground at this point. We've got the radar... that's the wrong button. How about I press the right button? That does help. Good job, David. Let's press the right button, please. Button. There we go. We're looking at about 2,500 feet above the ground. The radar site's over in Benbrook. We're only looking about 30 miles away. So we're getting a pretty good low-level look at this thunderstorm. And, well, that's why we're here. So let's head back over to the how hard it's raining mode. And you can see we've got a line of thunderstorms. Some of these are now severe. And you can see some of these are bowing out. 1, 2. And where we have these bows occurring, we could have winds of 60, maybe 70 miles an hour. And we can't rule out some spin-up tornadoes. Obviously, we're dealing with one of them at this point in northern Parker County and southern Wise County. And again, severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, you should take both seriously this morning, given the fact that we have pockets of straight-line winds up to 70 miles an hour in spots and the potential for spin-up tornadoes. But the reason we're here right now is we have a tornado warning for northern Parker, southern Wise counties until 5:30 a.m., and that's going to be for a rain-wrapped circulation on Highway 199. Let's just say at this point about 7 miles southeast of Joplin. This is going to be about 8 to 9 miles northwest of Springtown. This circulation is moving up more northerly. Obviously, it's kind of moving towards the north end of this tornado warning. If the Weather Service feels this does deserve a new warning, this might be moving more towards Decatur in southern Wise County. So up towards Paradise, up towards Boyd, staying probably south of Bridgeport, but still, I'd encourage folks in Bridgeport to Decatur, Paradise, be ready if a new tornado warning is issued for this thunderstorm. As we look farther to the south, how about I press the correct button? You're going to see we've got other thunderstorms. Now, we continue looking at the which way the wind's blowing mode. It's just a different version that helps us see straight line winds more accurately. We've got winds of about 70 plus miles an hour on 199, about 7 to 8 miles southeast of Joplin, moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. We've got winds now probably maybe 3 to 4 miles northwest of Granbury. Could be 70 miles an hour. These are straight line winds. Can't rule out a brief tornado, but again, it doesn't really matter if we're dealing with a rotating pocket of 70-mile-an-hour winds or straight line winds at about 70 miles an hour. That's enough to knock trees down, knock some fences down, knock some power lines down, and just create not the most enjoyable morning. So we're here because some folks' phones are going yippee-ki-yay, and some folks' weather radios are chirping like there's no tomorrow, even though it's Friday, which means it's like the best day of the week. And this is because we have a line of storms. Now, these storms are going to be moving off to the east-northeast at about 55 miles an hour. Yep, we're still dealing with storms moving at highway speeds, and unlike most traffic in DFW, these storms don't have to stop at traffic lights, stop signs, or any sort of nonsensical garbage you might find traveling across DFW roadways. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to set up a tracker on this. I just want to show you where these are going over the next 1 hour. And again, not everyone is going to be seeing, 70-mile-an-hour winds with these storms. Unlike these storms about, what are we, a month ago now? The hurricane wind event thing in the Metroplex. Not super widespread 70, 80, 90-mile-an-hour winds. These are pockets of these stronger winds. Most folks are probably only going to see 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds, but there are pockets of winds that could be 60, 70 miles an hour, maybe some brief tornadoes. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the leading edge of this line. Downtown Fort Worth, 5:35 a.m. Azle, 5:18 a.m. The city of Denton, 5:44 a.m. Crum, 5:41 a.m. Sanger, 5:49 a.m. Hazlitt, about 5:30 a.m. Burleson, about 5:39 a.m. Godley, 5:24 a.m. Joshua, 5:34 a.m. Cleburne, 5:32 a.m. Mansfield, 5:50 a.m. Pantego, Dalworthington Gardens, about 5:43 a.m. Arlington, about 5:47 a.m. Euless, 5:48 a.m. DFW International Airport, and I am so sorry if you've got travel plans this morning. They're not going to start off well. 5:49 a.m. Louisville, west side of Lake Louisville, about 5:45 to 5:50 a.m. Corinth, about 5:50 a.m. Denton, about 5:44 a.m. We are receiving unconfirmed reports at this point. There has been some damage with this tornadic circulation in northern Parker County. I'm not going to elaborate on that right now, but there has been at least some wind damage that has caused damage. Wind damage that has caused damage. Yeah, that's generally self-explanatory, but again, we know this thing is producing damage at this point, whether it is because of straight-line winds or tornado, it doesn't really matter, to be frank. Both are going to cause problems. So again, you do not need to be in a travel trailer, you don't need to be in a manufactured house in this kind of a situation. They provide great, affordable, high quality of life living, but they just don't do well in tornadoes. I'm sorry, they don't do well on hurricane force straight line winds. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you the facts. So what you need to do is lowest floor, center room, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible if you are in a sturdy site-built structure. If not, head on down to a gas station, a fast food establishment, a McDonald's, Burger King, gas station, a hotel, somewhere that's got a good site-built structure that you can take shelter. You definitely don't want to be in a vehicle either in this circumstance, because that's just not going to be a great thing to have happen if a tree comes down on your car. Okay, we've got a pocket of straight-line winds of about 60 to probably 70 miles an hour. This is going to be on the north sides of Granbury. I'm going to go ahead and put some roads on here real quick. I just need to, there we go. We're going to press some magical buttons here. I'm going to remind myself this is why I should drink coffee earlier in the morning. And this is going to be, again, off just north of Granbury. I believe that's Highway 51. This is going to be pretty much just east of the La Pan Highway, approaching Highway 51, just north of Granbury, where it curves on south into town. Again, we could have some pretty nasty winds at this point of 60 to 70 miles an hour. Off Oak Trail Shores, Brazos Bend, right there off the river there, the lake. So again, If we have winds of 70 miles an hour, it's going to be like we saw up on Lake Louisville a couple weeks ago. We could have some damaged boat docks. Up here, this circulation / area of strong damaging wind has a history now of producing some structure damage in northern Parker County. It sounds like, and we don't know exactly what's happened, but it sounds like we have some damage to some trailers. And that's all unconfirmed reports at this point. First responders are still responding to the said incident, but again, we know at least something's happened because there is some structure damage here in northern Parker County in association with this circulation. Whether or not we had 70, 80, 90 mile an hour straight line winds or rear flank downdraft winds on the backside of a circulation aloft, or we had an actual brief weak tornado, that is going to be found out later. But regardless, severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, you better take them seriously because they will mess up your day. So, it is technically at this point 5:11 a.m. Good morning. It's Friday, the 24th of March, 2023. I'm Texas Storm Chaser Baldy and Chief David Reimer. We're here because we have a tornado warning for northern Parker, southern Wise County. I'll go ahead and say now the threat of a tornado has exited Parker County. It's now in southern Wise County. If we had a tornado down right now, it might be just north of County Road 3673, coming up on County Road 3561. And again, these are going to be not long-lived tornadoes, not long-lived circulations, but we're going to have the potential for some brief embedded spin-ups within an area of straight line winds. And again, some of these could spin up pretty quick and happen before there's any tornado warnings. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now. This is going to be for Tarrant, Johnson, Somerville, Hood, Paca counties. And this will be a severe thunderstorm warning until 6:15 a.m. for a line of severe thunderstorms capable of producing 65 mile an hour winds. Penny-size hail, can't rule out spin-up tornadoes. And again, this is going to be for Tarrant County, Johnson County, Hood, Somerville, Parker counties. Essentially, if you are from Decatur all the way down to Weatherford to Glen Rose, this whole line of storms is severe, moving east-northeast at about 55 miles an hour. So Cleburne, Fort Worth, Boyd, Decatur, and then eventually Denton probably, we'll be dealing with this line of severe storms. Not everyone in this line is going to be dealing with damaging winds over 60 miles an hour. Not everyone, actually most folks aren't going to get hail. You are going to get heavy rainfall though, that's a good bet. And again, there will be some pockets of stronger straight line winds. The severe thunderstorm warning includes Fort Worth, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Mansfield, Euless, Bedford, Grapevine, Haltom City, Keller, Hurst, Burleson, Cleburne, Southlake, Weatherford, Watauga, Colleyville, Benbrook, Saginaw, White Settlement, and Crowley, plus DFW International Airport up towards Grapevine. So again, a lot of storms moving off to the east, northeast at 55 miles an hour. We'll put a storm track on this, try to give you all some timing aspects. And if we could stop doing this every Thursday into Friday, I'd really appreciate it. But unfortunately, it looks like we've already got an appointment next Thursday for more severe storms. So maybe by the time we get to May, we can stop doing this. So again, Parker County Fire unofficially reporting, they're responding to now multiple reports of some structure damage. It sounds like we may have some people trapped in houses in northern Parker County, whether they're trapped because trailers flipped or because trees are just down blocking doors, that's unknown. But again, we do have damage in northern Parker County. We have some folks that may be trapped in their houses. So again, these storms are packing a punch. Denton, 545, downtown Fort Worth, about 535. Crowley, Burleson, about 535 to 540. Benbrook, about 530. Azle, about 520. Arlington, about 540 to 550. Dalworthington Gardens to Pantego. Good morning, John Bergdorf, about 5:44 a.m. Euless, 5:49 a.m. DFW International, about 550. Louisville, about 550 to 555. Corinth, about 550. The city of Little Elm, about 6 a.m. Frisco, 6:05. Prosper, 6:05. Aubrey, about 5:55. Salina, about 6:10. Prosper, again, about 6:05. Crum, about 5:40. About 5:40 to 5:45 for Denton. Justin, about 5:37. And again, we're dealing with pockets of stronger straight line winds, although again, Pretty good looking signature for what could be a tornado approaching Highway 51 between Paradise and Boyd. This thing's got a fairly broad but strong mesocyclone that has occasionally tightened up and probably produced spin-up tornadoes. So what we're dealing with here is a storm that has produced damage in northern Parker County. A couple of reports that we have damage to trailers with people trapped in northern Parker County. And again, I'm not sure if that's because the trailers went flying or because trees came falling, but either way, you do not want to be in a trailer during a tornado warning or an intense severe thunderstorm. And again, switch back to the how hard it's raining mode. If you're in this red blinky box of doom, very right side of this is where the line's going to be in about 1 hour. So again, it's going to be storming. Pockets of 60 to 70 mile an hour straight line winds. Can't rule out brief tornadoes, and regardless of if it's a brief tornado or a spin-up or a area of straight line winds, wind is wind, and it's going to mess up your day if it throws a tree on you. So please don't go being dumb. Strongest area of straight line winds right now, possibility of a tornado in southern Wise County between Paradise and Boyd coming up on State Highway 114. I don't know why that's showing up as 51 right there, but again, this is going to be on 114 between Boyd and Paradise. Both communities should be in a safe place. Strong straight line winds occurring. Can't rule out a brief tornado, but regardless, it's going to be windy. Back southwest into Hood County, the wind signature here not as strong as it was about 5 to 10 minutes ago as this thunderstorm moves off to the northeast at about 55 miles an hour. We could be seeing some pockets of 55 to 65 mile per hour winds. Coming up on Highway 171, a couple miles north of Crescent, there on 377, probably 2-3 miles north of that 377 bypass they built there on the west side of town. Right now, technically, this would be on the Monroe Highway, coming up to 171, pockets of 60-70 mile an hour winds, probably Baker Road, and then up here in Wise County, where we have an area of rotation and strong straight line winds coming up on 114 between Paradise and Boyd. We note they have not extended this tornado warning further into Wise County. This isn't a completely tornadic looking signature at this point, but reflectivity-wise, this is an area of very strong straight line winds, maybe the occasional spin-up tornado. If you take a look here, this is your squall line, but then this is what we call a comma head feature. This is where on the north sides of squall lines we can see pockets of circulation develop, a little bit of enhanced spin in the low levels of the atmosphere that's occasionally enough to cause spin-up tornadoes and the potential for some damaging straight line winds. Regardless of if it's a spin-up tornado damaging winds of 60, 70 plus miles an hour, it is going to mess up your day if it hits you and you end up under one of these little enhanced lobes of vorticity. So be sure you are away from exterior walls and windows. We definitely don't want a tree falling on you, and we don't want any sort of injuries from flying glass should that occur. Those damage reports, for what it's worth, are just west of Poolville, apparently, from earlier, so we'll have to find out what happened, but we may have had a spin-up tornado very near Poolville earlier, or very strong straight-line winds. Alright, let's zoom back out. Let me tell you what we've got going on. A line of rowdy thunderstorms, most of which are behaving, some of which are being rather temperamental right now. At 5:19 this morning, from Decatur to Boyd, just west of Azle, coming into Weatherford, where it's pouring, coming up to Crescent there on 171. These storms all moving off to the east-northeast at about 55 miles an hour, just to make your Friday morning commute all that much more enjoyable. For the most part, winds 40, maybe 50 miles an hour. However, there are pockets where we have winds closer to 70 miles an hour, and we may have had a spin-up tornado here near Poolville about 20 minutes ago in northern Parker County. And yeah, I'm saying Parker County in that Parker accent because, well, I can, and it's 5:20 in the morning, so But if you want the technical terminology, yes, I know it is Parker County. But you know what? I make up my fun little enunciations at times. All right, we're starting to see a little bit of a signature coming up towards Decatur. We're going to switch to a different radar here, just to see if we have any sort of spin. Yeah, this is the Terminal Doppler weather radar for DFW. Built after the Delta crash in the 80s, showing winds of 70 to 80 miles an hour now, very near Paradise to Boyd. This is going to be moving up towards Decatur. An analog in terms of the track, December 6, 2022, where we had a storm pop up, become rather upset in the rotation department and produce that damaging winds and that tornado from near Paradise and Boyd all the way to just southeast of Decatur. We're across 380 just east of Decatur. Kind of on the same track here, but again, we could have some winds of 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, and that's certainly quite enough to cause some damage. I can't rule out a tornado, a spin-up tornado, but at this point we don't have a tornado warning. That's been expanded further northeast into Wise County. Nevertheless, it sounds like a Monday to me. It's a Friday, but really we're dealing with Monday vibes here. And at this point, yeah. So, that's what we've got here. Our most intense thunderstorm, again, this little thing right here. Let me clear off the road so you can see the wind pronunciations. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting to have to do live coverage this morning, but I should have known. Always at 5 in the morning, if we got storms approaching the Metroplex, we always have to do something eccentric and dramatic like this, but unlike December 6th, I don't think we have multiple tornadoes ongoing, and I also don't think we're going to be dealing with a hurricane wind event like we dealt with about 3 to 4 weeks ago. But nevertheless, here we are, 5:30 in the morning on a Friday in March, doing severe weather coverage just like it was a week ago, and 5:30 p.m. Can you tell I'm a little bitter about that? Sorry. Not really. I'm not sorry that I'm better about it, but you know what? Mama Nature's gonna do what Mama Nature's gonna do, and Mama Nature don't care what time it is. For what it's worth, there's gonna be a bad tornado outbreak in Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and parts of Alabama later today. We're gonna be dealing with the onset of this. Here in about, what is it, 5, 12, 13 hours, there are gonna be tornadoes all over the place in the mid-south of the United States. Let me tell you, that's not gonna be good. All right. I distracted myself. Coffee, 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 coffee. All right, we're going to press that. I wanted to clear off the annotations and draw. But again, this is what we're dealing with wind-wise right now. We're going to switch back over to the Fort Worth NEXRAD. And we note a severe thunderstorm warning now for Denton County, Cook County, Gainesville, down to pretty much severe thunderstorm warning wise. I-35, I-35W from the city of Gainesville down to the city of Alvarado. Runs all the way through Fort Worth, Denton, Sanger, up I-35, winds in pockets up to 70 miles an hour. Now, we do have a bit of a spin here. That's either nothing or it's going to bring some strong winds in the city of Decatur here in the next couple of minutes. Either way, damaging straight line winds could be up to 60 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour in spots. Looks like the National Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for Parker, and Wise County, so that's good news, but we're going to stay here because Mama Nature's been a troll the last 30 minutes, and I'm not in the mood to turn off a live stream and suddenly have to come back 2 seconds later. No. So we're just going to stay here and keep an eye on the stormies, but again, that tornado warning is gone, which is good. Can I say we're done with tornado warnings? No, but let's just go ahead and pull back. You can see we've got heavy thunderstorms in Wise County. We could have a pocket of rotation and strong winds over 60 miles an hour near on the south and east sides of Decatur. Heading back south, pockets of strong winds, maybe 40, 50 miles an hour from Azle, Boyd, down to east of Weatherford, approaching Aledo, and seeing a pocket of some slightly stronger outflow winds on 171 north of Crescent. That's going to be moving towards Annetta south, Annetta north. Why do we have Annetta south, Annetta north, and Annetta? I'm just going to say Annetta. And Aledo and Benbrook, we could see some winds here about 60 miles an hour. That's enough to cause some power outages, knock some fences over, and all that sort of nonsense. And these storms, again, moving east-northeast at 55 miles an hour. Most of this is not going to give you damaging winds, tornadoes, hail. It is going to pour rain in DFW for the morning rush hour. That's going to make it hellish enough, but let's be abundantly clear here. We're talking about small pockets of winds, 60, 70 miles an hour. Maybe a spin-up tornado. And again, spin-up tornado or damaging straight-line winds, it doesn't really matter in this case. Just like a week ago, it didn't matter then. We're dealing with pockets of these stronger winds. Here's the latest which way the wind's blowing mode update out of Wise County. You can see that little circulation has broadened out. Still seeing pockets of stronger winds. Same thing goes down here all the way into Parker County, Western Tarrant County, into far eastern Hood County, moving into Johnson County. I'll go ahead and zoom out real quick and turn on the statewide radar. I'm going to turn some of these cities off so you can actually see what's going on. And again, we don't have a lot of severe weather ongoing this morning. In fact, outside of these couple of storms in the Metroplex, it's pretty quiet. You know, we've got showers and storms all the way from southern Oklahoma City down across southern Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas. Only severe storms in the country right now are these storms here in DFW. Head southwest out of the Metroplex down 377, Stephenville, Brownwood to Brady. It's raining, it's storming, there's lots of lightning, gusty winds, but you know what? Nothing's going on with that in terms of, you know, big hail, big wind, spinny doom issues. And again, we have no tornado warnings right now. The tornado warnings have been the one tornado warning we had is gone. But we're just going to be keeping an eye on some things here, just in case. I know we've got some gusty winds coming into the Metroplex. We've got some cloud-to-ground lightning. We've got some heavy rain. Doing is trying to get this warning to disappear. It's gone. The warning that's being allowed to expire at 5:30, and it is about 5:30. But again, things now look a bit calmer than they did a few minutes ago and earlier. We're still seeing pockets using the Terminal Doppler weather radar near DFW. Some pockets of winds, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour on Highway 287 between Decatur down to Rome. Again, that's going to be moving towards Ponder, Justin, and Crum. We've got a pocket of wind over Weatherford and Aledo. Could have some winds, 50, 60 miles an hour there. It's going to be windy. A lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, plenty of heavy rain, as this line of thunderstorms moves from west to east at 55 miles per hour. And again, the reason we're here, besides the fact I have nothing better to do at 5:30 in the morning, is that we had a short-duration tornado warning in northern Parker, southern Wise County. We may have had a tornado near Poolville. We've got some damage reports from local emergency responders. Sounds like some trees are down, blocking roads. We have some trailers that may have been hit. And beyond that, nothing else is known, although I'm sure DFW Scanner will be keeping an ear out and report on that as soon as they hear anything. But again, we're just watching the storms. I'll take a gander out. Let me turn on this. We'll just loop over the last hour and show you what's going on. Again, we had that tornado warning in northern Parker, southern Wise counties. That officially expires at 5:30, but for all intents and purposes is gone now. You can see we've got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings from northern Johnson through Tarrant, eastern Parker, Denton, southern Cook, eastern Wise counties, and technically far southwestern Grayson County too. For this little line segment, you can see a couple of these storms are pushing out some wind on their leading edge. That's where they bow out, and that's where we have some pockets of 40 to 50, maybe 60, 70 mile an hour winds. Strongest wind signatures we have right now, southern southeastern Wise County and southern southeastern portions of Parker County. Can't rule out a spin-up tornado over the next 30 minutes, but again, spin-up tornado, damaging straight-line winds, in this instance, in this circumstance, are pretty much going to do the same thing. They're going to mess up your roof, they're going to knock down your trees, they're going to throw a fence, and if you're really unlucky, they're going to impale your house with said fence. And based on the report from fire units in Parker County, I'm just going to read it verbatim. Highway 199 near the Wise Parker County line is closed due to power lines across the road. Vehicle overturned. So tracking from Lone Star Road west of Poolville to Highway 199 on the Wise Parker County line, there does appear to be a narrow track of enhanced damage. So it may have been a spin-up tornado. And again, it does sound like there are some structures damaged, with some people that may be trapped in their structures, probably because of downed trees. So again, just goes to show you the tornado risk overnight was very low, and we haven't had any tornadoes all night, but it only takes one. And sometimes they are going to happen in the middle of the night. That's why you've got to have a way to receive weather warnings, wireless emergency alerts on your cell phone, a weather radio, etc. Just because the risk is very low doesn't mean it's zero, and it only takes one tornado or one instance of hurricane force straight line winds coming down your street to make it one bad day. And unfortunately, it sounds like some folks around Poolville here in Parker County are now experiencing a very bad day. All right, so again, it's 5:31 a.m. I'm Texas Storm Chasers David Reimer. We've got a line of thunderstorms capable of producing 50, 60, perhaps 70-mile-an-hour winds in spots, extending from near Gainesville to Crum to Azle to Aledo to just west of Burleson down to Godley. And these storms are generally moving off to the east-northeast at about 55 miles an hour. I want to be clear. Yes, there are gusty winds, and yes, there are pockets of winds that will cause some wind damage, but we're not dealing with a situation where we have hail issues. We're not dealing with a situation where we're dealing with multiple tornadoes, and we're not dealing with a situation where we've got, 80-mile-an-hour winds everywhere in this line of storms. We're dealing with these pockets of enhanced wind potential, enhanced areas of heavy rain and some small hail. These aren't really hailstorms per se. Unlike last Thursday, we're not dealing with a baseball-size hail at this point. We probably aren't even dealing with penny-size hail at this point. So this isn't going to be a hail issue. This is just some strong winds, the occasional spin-up circulation that creates even stronger winds, and worst-case scenario, a quick spin-up tornado. Has received a report from a trained weather spotter of a 71-mile-an-hour wind gust measured a bit earlier in northwest Decatur, just northwest the city of Decatur, so that makes sense. That might have been what that little circulation aloft we were talking about. Terminal Doppler weather radar for DFW showing a pocket of enhanced straight line winds now coming up into the Denton Wise County line on Highway 380. This is going to be west of Ponder, west of Crum, west-northwest of North Lake and Justin. So again, could have some winds up to 70 miles an hour about to cross Highway 380 on the Wise-Denton County line. So again, these are going to be moving off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. And again, we're not dealing with what I would consider to be a high-end or widespread severe weather threat at the moment. We have had what might have been a tornado near Poolville about 30 minutes ago. We do have reports of damage and now a couple of injuries from a trailer or vehicle out near Poolville, but we'll let DFW Scanner report on those as we hear more, but hopefully those folks are all right and any injuries that have occurred are minor. I won't say we were expecting tornadoes this morning, but we certainly, we've had a severe weather watch for a while now, and we've been monitoring these storms all night. But it just goes to show you that sometimes in a state as large as ours, 254 counties, if there's one little spin-up tornado and it comes up your street, whether it be 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the evening, it's going to be a problem. So it's why we always try to keep an eye on things here, and that's why we hopped on live coverage just as soon as that tornado warning was issued. We had actually just finished producing our daily weather video, which is out on our YouTube channels right now. I haven't had a chance to post it over on the Facebook yet, but long story short, a line of storms going to keep moving on east this morning. Northeast Texas, East Texas, the Piney Woods of East Texas could have a few severe storms this afternoon before a regional outbreak of tornadoes unfolds across parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee. In fact, I'll just load it up real quick. This is the severe weather outlook for this afternoon and tonight. East of Texas, we've got a level 4 out of 5 risk, and it sounds like we may have a level 5 risk added later. That is the dreaded pink of doom across portions of eastern Arkansas and the Mississippi, where it looks like there's probably going to be a pretty nasty outbreak of not only tornadoes, but the possibility of EF3 plus long track tornadoes, which nothing good comes of that. So we've actually got folks staying in Monroe, Louisiana tonight, and I believe Memphis, Tennessee, and they're going to be chasing later today. They'll have live streaming video on our YouTube channel, but that is an issue for later today, this morning, and for now, we're here because we had a quick spin-up tornado, possibly, or damaging straight-line winds near Poolville in northern Parker County about 30 to 40 minutes ago. And we've had some reports of damage around Poolville. And Highway 199 is closed on the Wise-Parker County line right around Poolville, northwest of Springtown, because there are power lines down on the highway. So again, we're here. We've got some pockets of 50 to 60 mile-an-hour winds making their way east. We note some cloud-to-ground lightning occurring well ahead of these thunderstorms. And we're still seeing some pockets of winds that could be over 60 miles an hour. Right now, we've got that pocket of wind about to cross over Highway 380, just northwest of Ponder, coming up on 380, about a mile east of the Wise County line. This is going to be moving towards Crum, and eventually this may actually make it up towards Sanger. But seeing as we have no tornado warnings and that we do not have any widespread severe weather, we'll be keeping an eye on things here, and we're going to return to posting the we're going to continue posting weather videos and weather graphics on our social media platforms. But again, you can keep an eye on the sky with the free Texas Storm Chasers interactive weather radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, and in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. And again, we'll be back if there are any tornado warnings or big-time severe weather. But what we're dealing with right now, pockets of strong winds and locally damaging winds, especially right on 380, approaching Crum. So we'll be keeping an eye on things here, and we'll be back if needed. Otherwise, keep an eye on the sky, free interactive weather radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, and we'll still be here keeping an eye on things, posting images and videos. So we'll be back if necessary. Otherwise, good morning.